How's it going, guys? Welcome back to another race. This is the 2026 Alliance Environmental Cat 4-5 Crit, and it is surprisingly a small field. That's not normal for me, and we'll get into all that in a little bit. But yeah, this is a little different for me. So there were about 12 to 15-ish guys, I think, in the race, or maybe 15 registered and like 13 or so started. But yeah, so it's about 15 guys in the race, and yeah, that's quite a bit different than my normal races. If you've watched any of my other videos, you know that I am completely used to having fields of like 40, 50, 60-ish guys. So this is, yeah, quite a big difference. The course. So this is, like I said, the Alliance Environmental Grand Prix Cat 4-5. It is on the Burlington County Fairground course, but slightly different. So I did a race here in the spring, and I'll link it up in the corner somewhere. This was the one where I had a couple teammates crash, and yeah, so don't have the greatest of memories, I guess, on this course, but the course itself changed just a little bit from that one, and that could have been the reason, actually. They took out a couple little like sweepy turns, so it's more of a more of a square, but it's smoother, I guess. The turns are smoother. There's slightly less of them, but it's about 0.9 miles around, and we're doing 15 laps. Ignore the lap counter when it says 14, because for some reason I still have not figured out what my my issue is with the laps, but it starts on lap 1, and when I go through the line always on lap 1, it stays on lap 1. So yeah, ignore that. We did 15 laps, which was a little over 14 miles, or 22-ish K, something like that. And like I said, the course, yeah, it's nice. It's like around fairgrounds, so it's really wide open. The pavement's really good. A couple of bumps, but nothing really to write home about. One of them actually will come into play at the very end, but more on that later. But for the most part, yeah, the pavement is really, really smooth. And the turns, other than this one coming up, are all pretty tame. So nothing terrible. Like I said, so really small field, and not 100% sure why. I know that there was a big race, the Chocolate City Crit down in DC, which is a few hours from here, the day before. So I'm guessing a bunch of guys went down for that, and then maybe stayed on an extra day. This is on a Sunday morning, so just couldn't get back in time. Or the weather report also was calling for some rain today, so it was looking a little iffy. So like up until yesterday, I wasn't exactly sure if I was even going to do it, but luckily it is a beautiful morning for a race. Actually, it rained later, so the later races were probably wet, but our race was fantastic. It was great. It was not super hot. There's a bit of sun, and you'll see the clouds kind of rolling in. So yeah, it was really nice. So anyway, the field. It is, I know a bunch of these guys, and after this race, I met everybody else, so kind of felt more like racing with your buddies rather than like racing in a huge competitive field, that kind of thing. That being said, we were quick. It was not slow. We definitely pushed it. I'm trying to remember, what my numbers were for the spring race, but yeah, I mean, we were moving, so we were definitely going at each other. So, and it was also windy, so on the backstretch it was really windy. Like I said, it was a really open, like wide open course, and the backstretch was like kind of straight headwind the whole way. So that was, yeah, definitely something. You see the flags up there, definitely something to think about. But like I said, so I don't know or didn't know how to race a small field. I'm used to just trying to like hang on in big fields, and if I do make it to the end, I'm just sort of like mid-pack-ish, that kind of thing. So in this case, I obviously wanted to make it to the end of the crit, but I was also thinking like, all right, well, might as well see what we can do, like how high we can finish, and kind of thinking about different strategies and things for that. And it's a little bit more aggressive than normal, which is abnormal for me, but kind of fun. With the small field like this, it was also kind of fun to think about those tactics. I'm normally not doing that. I'm normally just hanging on. So it was a fun one. It was a fun morning, and met some of these guys for the first time, so that was fun as well. So yeah, why don't we maybe go ahead and pause my commentary for a little bit here, and skip ahead maybe another lap or so, and we'll chat about my first move. And yeah, about 4 laps in, and I'm feeling pretty good, actually. I feel, relatively fresh. Heart rate's decently high, 174-ish. My max is like 185, so, I kind of think about throwing an attack in. So I, give it a little bit here, get a little bit cut off on that corner, but give it a little bit of a move, and then think, I'm not sprinting away from these guys, and the guy kind of up front, so I think maybe they'll just let me slowly roll off the front. So that's kind of what I do. I sort of push a little bit more power than is sustainable for me for long periods of time, and see what I can do. So it feels kind of cool to be in the front of crit. It's not something that I'm used to, but it's kind of nice. So kind of get down a little more aero, and push out a little power. And this corner here, I don't I probably didn't ever take it correctly for most of the race, but when you're in the front, you do get to pick that line a little bit better. So which is kind of fun. So I'm still doing my effort here, and it's interesting to look at the power curve because through most of my crit races, the power is spiking up and down and going coasting and spike and coast and spike. I know that's not good, but that tends to be just what happens for me. But when I throw in the attack, that power curve just kind of like flattens out. So it's kind of easier in a way because you don't have that like interval type session to spike way up and then down and way up and then down, things like that. So it's a much smoother power curve, but it does wear me out. And some people I think are built for those long threshold sustained efforts, and I apparently not. But like I said, it was fun to throw it in there and see what I can do. I do not hang out for more than a lap on the front. So you'll see, kind of coming up this home stretch again here, the guys will catch me. What's interesting is that this, there's a slight rise up to the line here, but it's also the tailwind. So it's one of those things that, for me, I would probably rather be a headwind going uphill, just because hills are more of a strength for me than the flats. So it probably worked against me a little bit, but like I said, kind of fun to give it a shot and see what happens. But I do get caught, and it takes me a little while to recover, but I kind of hang out here in the back for a couple laps and do my best to recover. And why don't I go ahead and scroll ahead again, or maybe not scroll ahead. I'll let this play. Might as well let it play anyway, and then we'll pick back up again in a few laps, and once the excitement starts. Okay, and we are a little over halfway through the race, and you see there, it's a couple guys making a move here. So they attack out of that corner, or maybe going into the corner. I'm not exactly sure. I couldn't really tell what was happening, but again, hanging out in the back, and there is one guy who ends up getting away. He actually stays away for a few laps, and we, put in a definite concerted effort to bring him back. But he's super strong, and that will also come into play later. But it was it definitely took some coordination to pull him back. You see, kind of around this corner, if you look off into the distance, you'll see that he's got a bit of a gap on us, which is surprising. So it's really it's a strong move on his part, but we do end up bringing him back after a few laps, but it did I think kind of wake everybody up and think like, okay, well, this guy's really strong, like we have to watch out for him. So you'll see I'll let this play, but you'll see the next few laps we do start to work together a little bit better. I guess maybe we started out and guys were taking longer pulls, or not going on the front, but we do end up working together a bit better. So we do bring him back, and so let me go ahead and let this play until another few laps while he's off the front, and then we can chat about the finish, which is exciting. And we're back. I'm taking my turn on the front, and we are slowly reeling him in. I think now it's a bit closer than he looks. His name is Michael, or he might go by Mike. I'm not sure, but he was out for 3 or 4 laps out front, and really strong effort by him. But at this point we sort of knew that we were going to bring him back, so I figured, kind of let him dangle out the front, maybe get rid of some of his energy, and try to wear him down a little bit. But at the moment, we are all back together, and we're kind of coming up to the point where I'm trying to think about a finish, and sort of what to do. Like I said, I'm used to big fields. I'm not used to something like this where I'm trying to strategically finish a race. So it's kind of fun for me to be in this situation, which is something that's a little bit different. But I also, as much as it's fun to think about these things, I also don't really know what to do. So my thoughts going in are that I'm not like a pure sprinter. I'm not going to outsprint the sprinters. I'm not going to outsprint most of these guys. So I'm thinking anyway that my best shot at winning, or at least finishing up towards the front of the pack, is to put in a slightly longer range effort. And I definitely messed that up pretty pretty bad. But we're coming up with 3 or so laps to go, and now since we've just caught Mike up the road, or Michael, sorry, not sure. But so we've just pulled him back, and I kind of come up to my buddy Mike here in the SOAR kit, and he, I think, sort of shouts to me and says we can't let him recover. So in in my mind, I'm hoping anyway, in my 172 beat per minute brain, is that, all right, if I give it a little attack here, maybe Michael, the guy who spent a few laps off the front, who has sort of shown to be strong, maybe he will be the one to do a bunch of work and try to bring me back. So you see right there, my buddy Mike says we can't let him recover. So I throw in a bit of an attack. So up this little rise to the line, I give it a pretty decent attack, actually. I do some nice power to go ahead and try to get at least a little gap. And looking back now, I think maybe this should have been my absolute all-in effort, and I just should have tried to hammer it as long as I could. I think at the time I was not thinking that. I was not thinking that I would be able to get away or stay away. I had just a little bit of a gap, but at the time I was just thinking all right, we just need to tire some of these guys out so I can try to finish ahead of some of these guys that are pure sprinters. Try to tire them out, and see what I can do for the end. But looking back, maybe it would have been better to just wait a little bit on this and then throw an all-out attack. So I kind of maybe shoot myself in the foot a little bit here, but give it a nice attack and let them bring me back. And they do pretty quickly. I mean, within a lap or so, I'm back into the group, and I don't think it really affects my my finish that much. I don't. I think I recovered pretty quickly. It wasn't like a long-term attack or anything like that. So we're coming up with two to go, I think, this time through the line. And at this point, the field has basically caught me, so I'm just hanging out in the front. They're just letting me blow myself up in the front, but that is okay. I will take it. Some numbers for the race. It was like I said, it was a fast one. I didn't actually compare it to the spring one yet, but I definitely should take a look and see if the numbers here were better or worse than the spring race. But let me see. Pull some numbers. All right, so for the, what did I say, 15 laps, just a little over 14 miles. We averaged 24.5 miles an hour, so yeah, it's pretty quick actually. I averaged about 212, which is about 3.4 watts per kilo for me, and normally about 234, so actually not terrible in terms of average and normalized, or what's that, intensity factor kind of thing. So yeah, I mean, not terrible actually for that, which is I think mainly because of the course. It really only just that one corner that we went through is the corner that you have to kind of slow down, and then you get that accordion effect. So yeah, it was nice smooth turns. I guess will do that with your average power. So I definitely like that. More more than some of the city crits and things. But I think those are fun too. But so we averaged 24.5 miles an hour. So it's quick. The course sort of lent itself to that, I guess. Let me see. In the spring. In the spring we averaged 23 and a half, so yeah, it was actually quite a bit faster, which is nice to see. That could be the wind too. It might have been windier in the spring, but yeah, I mean, that was good. It felt good. All right, back to the race. We are coming in with 1 lap to go, and the field is all together. There's nobody off the front, anything like that. That last lap they pulled me back, and then I kind of hung out in the back here. So coming through the line with 1 to go, and I have a little bit more to say about this moment in the race, but let's watch the last lap kind of in real time, and then I want to go back and actually look at that, because I don't often get to do this for the finish, sort of like analyze the finish. So it's kind of exciting for me. So we are pretty much all together, and actually through going into this corner, kind of the consequential corner, somebody, if I remember right, kind of takes off through this corner, kind of like right about there, and I do see it actually, so I am paying attention. So at least one guy takes off, one guy goes with him. There's a couple little gaps that form through this backstretch here, which with the headwind here make it particularly tricky to hold. So you can see the gaps there, and everybody trying to close them up, and I don't think it makes a huge difference probably, but there is a pretty pretty good sized gap there, but it does end up closing. But I think as soon as the 3 or 4 of us in the back here close that gap, the winner of the race actually makes his move. So if we're coming up on this like last sweeper, and you can see that there's a guy that's kind of just taking off down the road, and he actually ends up holding on for the win. So that's Michael, and yeah, he puts in that strong effort there. I kind of think like I can pull off here. Unfortunately, I think his name is Benjamin. He is the rider, the QCW rider there in the blue. He drops his chain on that bump, so kind of gets in the way of my line, and sort of puts my race away. But more to say there too. But why don't I rewind it and we'll watch that last lap again. So there is some interesting kind of point, I guess, is what I wanted to kind of highlight. The going into the last lap, right about here, so we're sort of stretched out, and then right about here, like the whole field clumps up, and knowing like my power curve profile, you see I thought that both Mike and Michael there were going to go for it, but they end up just kind of stopping. So right about here, like what I should have done is just taken off. Like I don't know if I would have been able to hold anything for a whole lap, especially with a motivated field chasing. But like I said, I don't really have any chance out sprinting some of these guys. I know like my friend Mike here is a sprinter. I don't know Ray, but I did meet him today, and he's a big guy, so I can only imagine he's a sprinter too. So I think that I don't have much of a hope of catching these guys in a pure sprint. So my really only hope of finishing in the top sort of 3 or 4 is going to be going early, and just trying to hold them off. So that is probably where my race was not lost, because it still did okay, but my race was kind of impeded, I would say. But it was still fun. So I end up coming in 6th, and as much as the QCW rider who drops his chain, as much as that does kind of impede my sprint, I do think we had like a nice line on that outside. I was following him. I don't think it would have made much of a difference, and he was really apologetic for it about afterwards and everything. So this is kind of what I get for being in the back. So it's not a huge deal. I'm not upset about it or anything. I don't think I would have been able to catch any of these guys. So you see, watch it again here. So there's a bump right there. That's that. And it was loud too. It sounded like he broke his wheel. But like I said, it sort of paused my forward momentum, but like I don't think I would have been up there with those guys. So there was a 3 or 4 second gap between me and that group. So I roll in 6th, which is, I'm happy with that. I am excited. That was a really good finish, and a nice race. I felt good. So thank you for watching. We got a little gap, I think, before the next race, maybe mid-September, so 3 or 4 weeks before the next race, and I will catch you next time.